beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about do's and don'ts of EuroSummer because I just came back from Europe. I was there for 3 weeks in August. I did a full vlog series on my channel of me going to all the different destinations. So these are my tips of what you should and should not do based on things that I did and did not do while I was there just a few days ago. So first things first, if you can help it, do not go in August. It is the worst time to be in Europe, and everyone goes there during that time because that's normally summer vacation or it's like right before summer vacation ends. But I'm telling you, it is not worth it. I think me going in August was really what made my trip as like not as enjoyable as I would have wanted it to be. And a lot of times it became really stressful and really just like difficult for me to get around and do the things that I wanted to do. So first, there is hardly any AC in Europe. Like in multiple countries across Europe, they do not have AC unless it's somewhere like Turkey and more east. But it was brutal. So even though my hotels all had air conditioning, you can't actually change the air conditioning to be any lower than like their set temperature. And that's typically like 70s. So at nighttime, even if I wanted to turn the temperature down, I couldn't. Or there was like a minimum that was pretty high compared to what I would actually use here in the US. So the no AC thing was pretty brutal in the hotel. But then when you go out in public, so let's say you're going to, different stores, or you're going to the museum, or you're going to wherever, anywhere in the US, you walk in and you immediately feel that like relief of AC, and there you don't feel that at all. And you're also in really close proximity with other people. So it just smells like sweat everywhere you go. It is quite disgusting. It is so bad. The no AC thing is pretty brutal. So for one thing, when you're looking at your hotels, make sure it says AC, but know that even if it does have AC, it's not going to be the AC that you feel here in the US. It's not like that at all. And that can definitely make or break your trip, because if you're out all day going on tours, going out to eat, like doing different touristy things, and then you come back and there's no AC, it's honestly it's a really big letdown. It really did change the trip for me in a lot of different ways. Also because Europe isn't really like a tropical destination. So typically my like vacations that are the most relaxing to me are when I'm on a beach or when I am like at a pool or just like chilling and hanging out. But if you go to popular destinations like Paris, Milan, or even oh my gosh, where else do people go aside from like going to the Amalfi Coast or any like actual water destination? Most of those destinations don't have pools or don't have like access to like big areas of water. So unless you get a hotel that has a pool, right, like you're not gonna have that like same summer chill relax type of vibe. Places like Greece are going to be more relaxing in terms of like having a pool or having like the ocean to go swim into and stuff. But I think that's what makes summer to me, like having a pool, having a hot tub, having access to the beach, or like going to lakes. Like that's like the summery feeling to me. And you don't really get that in the like traditional popular cities in Europe. So if that's something that you're looking for, don't go look elsewhere, or go to like Mykonos, or go to the Amalfi Coast, or go to the south of France. Like you can find that there. But if you're gonna go to like the big cities, like the popular big cities, try to find a hotel with a pool. Because that really did switch up things for me. I did go to Sorrento at the end of my trip, and that was fine, but because I had been there for 3 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to like actual summer. In my mind, it just wasn't like a true summer without, me always wearing a bathing suit, me always being outside, always being on the beach, stuff like that. The other thing that is a huge difference, and also is what really bothers me about August, is that people smoke a lot in Europe. The smoking is abysmal, to be totally honest. So they do have smoking laws, but they're not anywhere near as strict as they are in the US. So in the US, if you smoke, you have to be like 30 feet at least away from the building. Like you can't be near anyone else. Like there's only designated areas. And in Europe, like you can smoke outside. and they have designated areas, but people don't really follow them very closely because they aren't as heavily fined as they are, like, as you would be in the US. So because of that, right, people smoke outside in restaurants. So if you go to a restaurant and you're sitting outside, there will be a cigarette butt, like, container on the table, because that's just where people smoke. So if you don't smoke, or if you have asthma, or you like just don't even want to be around cigarette smoke, which is absolutely disgusting. I hate the smell of it. It gets everywhere. It gets in your clothes and gets in your hair. Like, perfume doesn't help. Like, it's just, I hate smoking so much. If you sit outside, you are in the line of fire. Like, because that's just where people smoke. If you go inside, there's no air conditioning. And they typically will have like a fan or two or something. But like, if you've been outside all day, you're walking around and, you know, you're hot, you're tired, or whatever, you want to go sit inside a restaurant and eat, you're going to be sweating in that restaurant because they only have a little itty bitty fan, which is why I'm like, don't even go in August, because if you go during like a colder time of year, so let's say you go early May or you go September, October, those are times where there aren't that many people, so you can actually sit outside and you won't be around a lot of smokers because there just literally isn't that much volume of people. Or the weather is cooler, there's a breeze, right? So, you know, someone may be smoking, but you may be far off away and, you know, the breeze like goes in the direction. Or eating inside isn't that big of a deal because, you know, it's not as hot outside, meaning that it's not gonna be as hot inside. So yeah, August is an absolute no-go. Go in May, or if you can, early June, because that's before like the high peak season, or, you know, go in September or early October. Like, those are like the best times. The other thing I want to talk about too is that water is not free, and that also plays into like the August time of year. So in the US, you go to a restaurant and you ask for water, and the water's free, right? They will give you water and you can have unlimited refills. Like, the water is free. There, you go to a restaurant, they give you bottled water, so you have to pay for it. It is not free. And there are water fountains all over, but a lot of the water fountains do not give you cold water. Yes, you're outside, you're walking around, you're going to touristy things, right? And then you go to a water fountain and it's not cold water. And that's a very big American thing, to drink cold water. But there, they just like drink their water warm. It's weird. Anyway, I spent so much money on water, way more than any other trip I have ever done into Europe before, because it was hot all the time. I drank so much water regularly here in the United States, and I found myself being dehydrated more often than not, because whenever I would go to the water fountain, it would be cold water or hot water, and then if I wanted cold water, I would have to go to a store and buy like the big like water, and I would drink that in a day. So yeah, just all around, don't go in August. You'll be much happier, and it's also cheaper to go in May or in September and October. So the other thing I want to talk about is how I planned my stops. So typically people will do like every 3 to 4 days, they will change locations because the cities are so closely next to each other. Like, they're all like an hour of flight away from each other. So like, when I went from Paris to Budapest, it was like an hour and a half flight. So you can get places very quickly. However, the amount of time that I spent in each destination, I would have drastically changed. So like I said, I love the beach, I love water, I love pools. So if I were to redo it, I would have planned to have more time in destinations where there are pools and, you know, access to water, and like I can like lay out on the beach and just like relax, whatever. And then less time in destinations where it was like heavily city. Another time where this really came into play was in Milan. So I was in Milan for 2 days. And that was perfect because the time that I was there was absolutely no one in Milan. Like, everyone was on vacation, so the city was very empty. But I did spend 5 days in Cappadocia, which was also a really good plan for me because I got to relax, I got to see the hot air balloons, and it was just like very chill. I ended up extending my stay in Sorrento because I wanted more time by the water. I think I stayed there for a total of 5 days. But overall, I would recommend that if you are a person who enjoys water or enjoys the beach or enjoys like a typical relaxation vacation, try to implement that in your EuroSummer in a way where you can get like the max amount of time there without spending that much money on it, right? Because if you're going during August, it's going to be much more expensive than going any other time throughout the summer. I think in general, though, if you're going to go to different cities throughout Europe, I would plan minimum of 4 days in each destination, because if you go somewhere every 3 days, you spend most of your time in the airport, you spend most of your time, in public transportation, and then when you're actually in that destination, you're trying to jam pack all these different activities in because you only have 3 days, at that destination. So if you can, I would do at least 4, maybe even 5 days in each destination so you can have a decent amount of relaxation time and still have it be a vacation. I think for EuroSummer specifically, people try to do all these different things because, there's just so much to do and everything is so close to each other, but you end up getting really burnt out really quickly and it makes it not enjoyable in the long run. So the next thing I would definitely recommend is that you figure out your airport transportation ahead of time. So I typically will take public transportation from the airport to my hotel because a lot of my hotels that I will pick are near different public transportation stations. So they're really easily accessible through public transportation. But there were a few destinations that I had to buy airport transportation last minute, or I just didn't plan it appropriately where I could access my hotel easily. So those destinations were Cappadocia, also with Sorrento. Oh my gosh, that was a nightmare getting from the airport to Sorrento was ridiculous. However, the reason why I always take public transportation is because it is the cheapest method. So it'll be anywhere from $7 to $15 to get from the airport to the hotel. No matter where my hotel is, I can always access it in some way. But for Sorrento specifically, from the Naples airport to Sorrento was an hour and a half drive, and a private transport would have cost €200 one way. So that's why I ended up taking a bus, a train, and another bus and a taxi to get to my hotel. I think I ended up spending €25, but it wasn't worth it for me because it was just so much work for me to get to all those different transportation systems when I could have just taken a shuttle bus, which was air conditioned, and that was I think €35. So plan your airport transportation ahead of time so that you don't have to scramble, because some places also don't have Uber. So major cities like Paris, Milan, and where else did I go? Budapest also had Uber, but some other cities that you may visit probably still don't have Uber just yet. So make sure you plan that way ahead of time so you don't have any mess ups or any hacks or have to spend a bunch of money trying to figure it out at the time. And the other thing you should definitely pack are vitamins, or if you're emergency type of person, pack whatever you need to stay physically healthy, because there is no such thing as a bubble of space in the EU. In the US, you will go to a line, right? People will give you an ample amount of space before they line up behind you, right? But there, people will just be back to back to back. They do not let you breathe. They are literally right on top of you. And I think being in close quarters with other people at all times is what made me sick. So I sound pretty nasally right now because I was just around people all the time. And what I started to do was I would put my suitcase, because it typically happened to me in airports. I had my large suitcase, I would put it behind me and I would put some space in between my body and the suitcase, and it would be in front of the person that was behind me. And then I would create space for the person in front of me so that I had my own buffer of space, because if not, people will be right on top of me. So if you got vitamins, if you do emergency, whatever it takes, you need to be taking that every single day, because people are just so physically close to you that it is just, it's a lot. It is a lot. And every single time I have gone to Europe for more than 4 days, I have gotten sick. Every single time. It's not it doesn't happen in Asia. It doesn't happen in the US, but every time I go to Europe, I get sick because people are just in such close proximity, and they also don't smell good. So if that's not enough, keep the vitamins on you. You need to keep vitamins on you at all times. The other things that I did do really well that I want to talk to you guys about so that you can also do when you're planning your own trip is laundry. So first, I always pack different Tide Pods or some type of laundry detergent with me, because some of the hotels will either have access to a laundry or washing machine or something, or you can get your laundry done at the hotel. So I was there for 3 weeks and I did pack a big suitcase and a carry-on, and I typically overpack underwear so that I don't have to wash it as often. But I think after about 2 weeks I did have to wash underwear because I was showering twice a day because of the no AC thing. So I did have my laundry done at one hotel, and then another hotel I did wash my own laundry. So if that's something you're thinking about, pack your own Tide Pods or pack your own, laundry detergent or whatever so you can do your own laundry, because it is pretty quick. And they also expect people to have to wash their laundry no matter what type of hotel you stay in. Like, they will have access to it in some way, shape, or form. But a lot of people don't think about that when they're packing. They will pack every single item and overpack all these things, and then will be mad at themselves later when they have to drag those things all around, to different destinations. When you can just pack some laundry pods and pack, a decent amount of underwear or some shirts that you can easily wash and, reuse and rewear later on. So just keep that in the back of your mind of like, can I pack a little bit less if I do laundry or bring Tide Pods? Because that will come in handy a little bit later. Other thing that I did really well this trip, and I did not do all that well in Asia, was carrying a limited amount of cash. So I had lost my debit cards in Asia when I went in May. This time around, I was like, I am not even going to risk it with my debit cards. I'm just going to pay for everything with card. However, there were some destinations that were cash only or like very heavy on cash. So the first one was Cappadocia. They survive on cash, so I had to get cash out there. Everywhere else was pretty solid in being able to use card, or they allowed me to use Apple Pay, which was really great. So make sure you look up ahead of time of any place that you need to take out cash. It's typically the smaller towns that you visit, places like Cappadocia, but places like Istanbul, they will allow you to have card and pay for Apple Pay everywhere. So just keep that in the back of your mind as well. The other thing I wish I had done was pack a converter. So I normally use, I'll show you guys. I normally use this adapter. It has the multiple contents on the side, so I can use it in any destination I go to. It's a universal adapter. However, I do not like this for my laptop. So I am editing on the go, I'm emailing, I'm working when I am traveling, and this isn't all that great for big chargers such as a laptop charger. So I would get a converter instead of using this. So this is an adapter, like I said. I have a list of my travel essentials in the description box, which you can check out. But I would get a converter instead of using an adapter for my big electronics, especially if you use like a blow dryer or a curling iron or even like a steamer or an iron. I would definitely get a converter instead of using an adapter. This one is just convenient for really short trips, but if you're doing something longer, I would say like 10 days or more, I would get a converter and an adapter. Last but not least, and this one I think is the most important, is the VAT tax shopping situation. So if you buy luxury goods, if you buy designer items, if you just like to shop and spend a lot of money, you can get a VAT tax refund at the end of your trip. So when you leave the EU is when you can file for that refund. And one thing that I think I did really well was planning my shopping near the end of the trip, because for one thing, I didn't want to have to carry around all of the things that I bought the entire 3 weeks. But also, when you do file for your VAT tax refund, you do have to show them the items itself. So if I were to do my shopping in the beginning, right, I would, one, have to keep track of all the receipts and all the things that I purchased, carry it around at every destination, and then be able to show all the things that I bought to the officer, before I left and went back on my flight. So just keep that in mind. If you are going to do some shopping, save it for the end of your trip so you don't have to lug it around with you the entire time. Also, because pickpocketing is very, very popular in the EU, so it's just easier to not even have the items from the pickpocket if you get it at the end right before you leave. So when I did go shopping, so I went to the designer outlets near Milan, and you can watch that vlog. But after I came back on the bus, I did take the public transport back to my hotel, and I was trying my best not to get pickpocketed, and luckily I did not, so thank you, Jesus. But if you're going to take public transportation after shopping, just be very wary of your items and keeping them near you. I've also seen people change the bags out. So I had designer bags, and unfortunately I didn't have another bag to put it into. But if you can get a trash bag, right, and put, your items in there and then carry that around, people are less likely to steal a trash bag than they would be, a Prada bag. Yeah, so those are my tips for planning a EuroSummer. If you guys want to see in the destinations or the things that I did in each of the cities that I visited, They are all in the vlogs, so they're already on my channel, but I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.